Welcome to the WoodsTalk podcast extra branch. Hey.
Hello.
There's Mr. Mark McCarney Schwarzenegger. How's it going?
Can you hear me all right?
I can hear you rightly, sir. And that's why you're on, because I want to hear you.
Well, I just haven't the great equipment. Look at you, you're like Frank Mitchell there. Done up. And I'm sitting here like a fucking hipster.
Yeah. If either of us was going to be the hipster in this podcast, people would have probably assumed it was going to be me.
Well, true.
Yeah, like let's face it, like this lesbian Austin Powers fucking vibe that I have, like it's fucking. But like Lisa said to me last week that I look like Austin Powers if he went to Methody.
What to wear?
Methody, you know that wee secondary school, Malone Road.
Oh no, I wouldn't know that. I thought it was something like Lourdes or something.
Yeah.
I'll go in and get the cure at Methody.
So anyway, how are you? I know we were supposed to do this a while back, and then you went to Donegal for for a wee trip. Can you hear me all right, by the way? Yeah?
Yeah.
Oh, sweet. But you were in Donegal for a lot of days. Have you got a wee woman down there, or is it a family trip, or was it to get some craft turf? Or
No, I've give up on women.
Right enough.
Decided now that I'm just going to die alone.
They say different, to be honest.
It was a hard decision, but there you go. No, I was just down for a few days in Rashnula. So I went and done surfing and fucked about and just get away. You know, this staycation that everyone's talking about.
Is that one of the worst words in the world for you?
Eh?
I think it's one of the worst words in the world, staycation. I don't know what it is or something about it. Staycation, where are you? Castlecourt.
Everyone has to make something out of nothing. Just we're going away for a couple of days.
Yeah, it's like, why not just chill in the house? I know, like during the lockdown, that's kind of what everyone had to do. But there's nothing wrong with just chilling in the house and getting a lock of tins of harp and wanking in the bath. Like, there's nothing wrong with that.
Oh, I know that there sounds good to me too.
Not always in that order. Obviously, you could have the wank first.
And then, what difference is doing that in Strabane or Spain? It's the same thing.
No, yeah. So, what else did you did the surfing in Donegal? Is that something you're into, or did you just kind of go on a whim and go, "Fuck it, I'm surfing like a hurricane"?
No, I've wanted to do it for years, and
I can't tell if you're being. I can't tell sometimes if you're telling the truth. You know, just the way you deliver it. I've always wanted to do it. I can't tell.
I have always wanted to do it, but I could never. You know, like you never. When you've never done a thing before, you don't know what it really entails, or do I need help here? Do I need insurance? Do I need do I need to do this? So McKigney's done it loads of times. He goes up to Portrush.
Yeah, go surfing, man. Go surfing. Surfing, man.
And so I didn't want to go on my own, so I went in the boat, and I just got a crack. I was fucking sore for a week after, let me tell you.
I'd say it's a deceptive, it's a deceptive workout in a way. One of those things where you're like, I'm fucking wrecked from that, and it doesn't look like you're doing much, but I suppose your whole body's working in a weird way, isn't it?
Aye, and then I tell you, I've done that much damage that a bunch of whales died on the beach 3 days later. Did you see that?
Yeah, I did see that, and I was like, that's definitely anytime any animal shows up where it's not supposed to, I just think McCarney straight away. I'm like, why is there an alpaca in Cookstown, McCarney?
I was in Rashnell on Sunday, and 3 days later there was a whole family up here with shock of it. Everywhere I go, there's just handlings.
Yeah, you just
earning a mention.
Yeah, Mark McCarnage, they should call you. Yeah. So I'm trying to think. The last time I would have seen you was Colin's office gig, and then prior to that, God knows when I would have seen you. But obviously, we've had a coronavirus.
Probably.
Something like that, I dare say, yeah. I know we've had the lockdown and stuff. How did the lockdown treat you? Were you happy enough? Or, because you had like solo shows booked, and did I hear you were possibly going to be touring and stuff? So,
all that there went tits up.
Yeah.
At the start, I was kind of like, this isn't a bad thing. I kind of thought, it's going to be a couple of months. We're all going to settle for a bit. Things then's going to get open up again and life will be as normal, and fuck me, then it just went worse.
Yeah.
So like for the first couple of months, it was kind of like, oh, it's gonna start again, and then it just never did. So at this stage now, I'm starting to get kind of fucked off with it. But
For sure.
what can you do? Like?
Yeah, exactly. That's the ultimate question. What can you really do? Like, you see people, whether they agree with coronavirus or not, you know, what can you really do? If you think that it's a government, like if you're a conspiracy theorist who thinks this is the government fucking with us, what can you really do? You know what I mean? Like, you put a status on your Facebook, that's not going to do fuck all. The people losing the bat at people who are wearing masks, what like, you know, what's it really going to achieve? You know what I mean?
And like, you know, for us there is doing gigs and stuff, like I get messages like about doing gigs, and you don't know if it's the right thing to do or not. You know, because like you could do a gig and people think, oh, you know, if it's not done right, it can cause more harm than good. Like you're in a kind of rock and hard place. You want to get out, you want to kind of get things started again, but you obviously don't want to fucking annoy anyone or start knowing my luck, it would start a second wave anyway. Like.
Yeah. I think
that's
definitely
just the way it goes.
For sure. I mean, the amount of restrictions, I mean, Vittorio seems to have done a decent job of, you know, keeping.
Yeah, Vittorio and even Colin's gig there was well done.
Yeah.
You know, like you'd know, I know they do it right. Like, but like you've seen the amount of pubs that was closed there last week because the fuckers were standing on each other's shoulders.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? There's some places just don't have a bit of wit to the whole thing. Like,
yeah, there's definitely, in terms of like wee towns in Northern Ireland and even like the outskirts of Belfast or even like wee tiny housing estates that have bars, they didn't close at all. Let's face it. Like, I got
I understand. Like, they missed the crack and you missed the pint and all the rest, but fuck, I don't know. I think I'd rather be alive.
Is that your personal preference, just being alive?
It's a lot handier.
Acquiring fond it.
That's just a lot of hassle being dead, so I've been told. I don't know.
Yeah, you leave everybody your debts and they have to plan your
funeral. I was at a funeral during the pandemic.
Oh, really? How was that?
I think
good crack?
That's the way to go. It actually was good crack. We're all just sitting up against a hedge, looking over at her being buried. There was no sermon. There was no wine or any associate. Just out of the house, into the hole. That's the way it was.
That's the Mark McCartney story, dare I say. Out of the house, into the hole.
That's the way I think I want to go. No,
for sure.
Talking. See, you're always great. You ever see everyone's always great when they're dead?
Oh, yeah.
In the great man. He done a lot for the community. And I'm a cunt.
Yeah, no, that's always the way when you see on like UTV or whatever, and Julian Simmons comes on and they're telling a story about this like joyrider from West Belfast who's 23 and he's dead, and they're like, oh, it's always some real homogenized cheesy shite where they're like, he was the heart and soul of his didgeridoo quartet, and he always he bagpacked on a Sunday in Super Value and all that shit, and you're like, he stole everybody's wheelie bin. Do you know what I mean? It was just a pure root, and he was in Blazing Squad.
There was a minute silence in the door today. No, but that's I think the best way, just to cut out the ceremony. Just he's dead.
Yeah.
That's the way I'm going to go anyway.
Yeah, I love how you're planning it already. Where McCartney loves being alive, but knows how he's going to be buried.
I mean, being in America, and they all have like private plots. So it's just a wee bit of land that they'd have away from the house, and that's where the whole family would be buried from generations.
Yeah, so you can see them from the window when you're having a shit.
I'm sick cutting their lawn, so I told the old pair I'm going to bury them down at the park that I don't like cutting anymore, so I don't have to do it.
Are you going to wait till they're dead, or is that just what you're doing after this podcast?
Well, if things go on the way they're going, tell you. Fuck, I don't know.
Like, how did you find that? Because I know staying in the house.
A roof in there.
I know that like someone like when I was chatting to Mickey at that office gig, on a few occasions over the lockdown, checked himself into a hotel for the night just so he can get away.
The house.
Yeah, I don't know. Did you find the same? Or?
Well, funny. Not so much now, starting to, and it's not even the repair, it's just the house. It's just
All
looking
right.
at the same four walls, the same kind of routine. You're just like, Jesus Christ, I can't look out through the window any longer. Like,
Yeah.
but no, I'm trying to start getting out a bit more. Even like I say, I went to Snow for a few days and shit like that, because life has to fucking go on some way, shape or
Agreed.
form. Like.
Yeah, I think there's some people who are basically letting coronavirus, the whole situation, dictate the rest of their lives. Where like you can go out, no, still exercise caution, put on a mask if that's your thing, but you can't. Life doesn't stop because of it. Do you know what I mean? People, I've been saying this in stand up, but I feel like people are acting as if they leave the house, they're going to contract coronavirus straight away. And I kind of said, it's kind of like, in Toy Story when Buzz Lightyear still thinks that he's a space ranger. And Woody's like, fuck up, you're a toy. And then Woody presses the wee button and his helmet goes back and he pretends to choke and he's like, oh, I can't cope with the air. That's how everybody's fucking going on. Do you know what I mean? You can't let it fucking ruin your whole life. Like
it's too different. You have one person that's taking it to the absolute extreme, and then you have the other person that doesn't care at all. Yeah. And it's just it's a strange, but I don't know. If I'd have told you this last year, would you'd have said you're fucking talking shit. Like,
but again, like you just don't think about. Yeah, if you had said that last year, like how it would affect everything, like even that funeral, you think of the people going up to get communion, the old school people who take communion directly in the mouth. Mm-hmm. Like how are they going to have to put the mask down and stick out the tongue just so they can get that bit of fucking Brennan's bread on their tongue? You know what I
mean? The good stuff.
Today's bread today. So it is.
Half a pan of God.
So I'm just trying to think. Like, I mean, obviously I haven't met your parents, but I'm trying to think.
Meet them?
I'm all right. And like, I'll go to their funeral.
I think you're all right too.
I'll be watching the burial from a distance, putting it on Instagram Live. Well, I'm just wondering, like, what was their reaction to you saying I'm doing stand up now? Because you have the similar sort of age to me, and my dad just didn't understand what I meant at all. Where I think he kind of seen that comedy in Northern Ireland was Give My Headpiece or The Blame Game. That was comedy. No, there was no stand up because Keelty wasn't as much anymore. What was their reaction to you saying I'm doing stand up now? Did you tell them beforehand or?
No, my first gig I told nobody.
Mm-hmm.
I can't even remember now. I remember it was in the PAV. And I can't even remember now what I told them, why I was going up to Belfast. But I remember it was complete bullshit. And I went and I done it. But like, when did you start stand up? What age were you?
I can't remember. I was 20, early 20s. I think I've been going. I don't even want to say how long I've been going now, but a grim amount of time. I remember
it was different for me.
Yeah.
Because I was like 26, 27.
Mm-hmm.
And I had, so I closed everything down and said, I'm doing stand-up now. And so, where if you had any bit of sense or wit, you'd have a job and do your stand-up in the evenings, whereas I just went completely...
Yeah, you just took the big leap, essentially.
I just bit the bullet, and I was like, I'd only done like a few gigs, like nothing, I think maybe... What have you even done 10 gigs? But I knew this is what I want. Whether it be good or bad, this is it.
Yeah.
And I had spent years building this up, so I think there was more of a shock going, you're closing it because you want to do what? It was that kind of a thing.
Yeah.
But thank God, like my mother and father are, they're very supportive, like, and they wouldn't, I think anyone else would be like, will you fucking wise up? But they were like, it's your life. If this is what you want to do, then go for it. Like, and for the most part, like it did. Like I left not last April, the April before. Yeah. And then I think I done my first video or the Parish Unknown videos in like June.
Right.
And then things like the end of 2019 was just going mental.
Yeah.
And then it was set to continue this year, and then this fucking thing happened. But
yeah.
I just went for it whole hog, man. Taking balls.
Because I wonder if you had done it differently then, if you had maybe kept, the business going, maybe sort of cut it down a wee bit, did your stand-up in the evenings, would you have had the same output in terms of videos? Because obviously you had time during the day to think of these things and think of concepts and all. Do you reckon that would have gotten away if you still had the business going?
I don't know if I think it was more mentally than time-wise. It's like, if you're working in an office during the day, you're just office mode. And it's sometimes hard to find comedy out of something that's got beige walls.
Yeah.
And so I was just like, I don't want to do a fresh start. And I've always wanted to do it. Always wanted to do it from I was 16, 17. But it's the same as you were saying, like at that time, Colin and Shane wasn't even on the go at that time. Like,
no,
it was just Paddy Keelty. It wasn't even the Blame Game. It was just like Colin Murphy. And Tommy Tiernan was probably the height of the comedians that was doing it full time in this country.
For sure.
Then, but then with Colin and Mickey and the comedy kind of showed that, well, fuck, it's possible. Like,
yeah, it's more than doable. Like, the difference of someone who maybe started in the last couple of years to when I started, in terms of stage time, paid work, and then just general other opportunities. Because even like, bearing in mind now, you start, say the last couple of years you've started, you can start doing gigs, a reasonable amount of gigs, and then you think of like being able to go on people's podcasts and stuff like that there, in terms of exposing yourself, because obviously you can do videos and stuff. So there's so many more ways of letting people know I do this. Whereas when I started, you'd almost got slagged if you started a podcast when I started, because you'd just be like, who the fuck, like, who do you think you are, sort of thing. And then obviously slowly but surely it changed.
You're going to get that with everything, but I got to the stage where like I was doing everything that I thought that everyone thought I should be doing instead of doing what I wanted to do.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So you're going to get cunts going to say things to you no matter what you do.
Yeah.
That's what I learned. Even if you're doing something that you fucking hate doing, there's going to be somebody's going to criticize you for it.
That's
no matter what. So you may as well just do what you want to do and fuck it, because you're enjoying it. To what odds, like?
True.
But I know I just what are you what was it, quarter life crisis?
Yeah, quarter life. Yeah,
quarter life crisis.
I think that's definitely a good point, that you need to be enjoying it. You know what I mean? You see too many people now who maybe get a couple of gigs in. Not anybody recently, I couldn't name an example, but the odd time at the PAV, you see someone who's basically saying, "Oh, within 6 months, I'm going to be doing the SSE, and I'm going to have the biggest podcast in the country, and I'm going to." And I've heard some open micers say, "Tomorrow, I'm going to write a viral video." I've heard that. No, I'm going to write a viral video, as if, and yourself. I mean, you've had stuff that's got serious hits, but you don't write it going, "This will get." Will get. You've no idea. It fluctuates, and you just have no idea what people latch onto, because
you're going down a long lane with a short leash if you're trying to make stuff you think people's going to like.
Yeah,
you can only do what you think is you're going to enjoy making.
Yeah,
and no, I was just, even before the video took off, I was over the moon. In my mind, I made it. I was doing stand-up. I was a comedian. I was getting gigs. I was getting paid, and so in my mind, if everything else was a bonus.
Oh yeah, for sure.
You know what I mean? I didn't go in going, "Oh, I'm going to sell out the SSE Arena." I was just kind of like, "Oh fuck, I'm gigging with Mickey Bartlett and Rory Woods and Colin Geddes tonight. Holy fuck!" You know what I mean? That kind of way. So
I think, like, in terms of the video thing too, I think you're definitely, I don't know what the word is here, but prior to you releasing your, more so the Parish Unknown stuff, but generally any stuff you do, prior to all that, I would have said, in this current climate, if you want to write a video that's going to get hits, if you want to do everything in your power to maybe ensure this will probably do all right, if not viral, it needed to be quite short and quite to the point. But, and I don't mean this in a bad way, but you're the only person pumping out like videos that get hits that are actually a good few minutes longer than what most people would have. Does that make sense? Yours are,
everything I've done, man, is literally went against what people say. It goes viral.
Yeah, exactly.
It's just like Like the last one I done, the Christmas one there, was nearly 10 minutes long. And if I had wanted, it could have been 20 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
But I literally was like, Jesus, I can't put out. And I wish now, because I don't know what it is. It's just, yeah, like I think it was McCann was saying to me too. He was like, "You're the first person I've seen, and probably since Collins, I am throwing out 10-minute videos, and they're actually doing well. Usually, if they're over 30 seconds, forget about it."
Yeah.
But again, I was just kind of doing what I wanted to do. There's no point doing it, to please anybody else, because you're never gonna know.
Exactly.
So you just, as long as I'm kind of middle way happy with it, and once I hit post, I don't even really look to see how it's went or how it's done. It's just done. I enjoy doing it and fuck it.
Yeah, I think too about yours, considering that there is a good length to your videos, and particularly with Parish Unknown, it's so quick. It's essentially like joke. So it's actually more impressive that something 10 minutes can get so many hits, because that's a lot of material technically in that 10 minutes. People probably don't realize the amount of material you filmed and then you edit it down to about 10. It's not like, it's interviews or like a mock doc. It's pretty much you're cutting between you at a fence and then you're outside of fucking a barber's, then you're in your car. Like that people don't realize that's a lot of material for one video. Do you know what I mean?
People don't even realize like the work in general that it takes to make a video, full stop, as plain as it is. I mean, I get more people messaging me going, will you make a video for this? And you're like, it would literally take me a month to make what you're talking about.
Yeah.
They don't get it. Like, oh, fuck it, just stick on your camera there. What the fuck was like?
Yeah.
But like that last one, I think it took me nearly a month and a half between shooting it and ready. Like.
Yeah.
There's a lot of work, but I do. Video was always the kind of first thing that got me into comedy, was films and sketch shows and shit like that there.
Yeah.
And I always wanted to do like filming and directing and shit like that.
Yeah.
But
in terms of
what
do you think of Brexit?
I always wanted to be a dictator.
What was I going to add? The whole you were saying about sketch shows there. I was speaking to Gallus about this. I don't know, like in terms of sketch shows, we kind of both felt the two best sketch shows of all time are Chappelle's Show and Chewing the Fat. Have you ever seen Chewing the Fat? You familiar with it?
Rings a bell, but I can't.
It's from the same writing team that do Still the Game. Do you ever see Still the Game sitcom? Two Scottish pensioners.
Oh yes.
Yeah, they basically did Chewing the Fat beforehand, and the two old fellas who are in Still the Game were characters in the sketch show, and then they brought a sitcom from them. But if you're a fan of sketch shows, 100%. I think the first season's on Netflix at the moment. But like, what for you? What sketch shows? What stands out for you in terms of sketch shows?
So it's not even. I'd even more like, because there is really no sketch shows really on TV. More clips is on YouTube.
Yeah.
And so there might have been wee bits on Facebook. The Key and Peele I always thought was brilliant.
Yeah, I enjoy Key and Peele.
They were just not even like some of them were funny, some of them weren't even funny, but their pure inventiveness and the creativity in them was fucking unreal. I've only ever seen bits of Chappelle's Show on YouTube. It's not something that you would get.
Yeah.
Geez, when did it stop? From 95 or something like that there?
Yeah, 1800s or something, fuck knows.
What else? I'm trying to think. I was always a massive fan of Saturday Night Live, but I mean like Will Ferrell days.
Yeah, when it was good, basically.
And even Belushi days, like the old school. But now I think it's kind of. But sketch, man, it's so hard to do. I think
100%.
It's really it's you're trying to get a full story in 3 minutes is wild hard to do. I think.
I agree. I think like that's maybe why. I know Chewing the Fat didn't run that long. Chappelle's Show didn't run too long, But it's on like Saturday Night Live. I mean, it's been going for 45, 46 seasons. I mean, the hit rate is always going to be in the negative. Like, there's vastly more bad sketches than there is good. Do you know what I mean?
They're doing an hour show every week.
Yeah.
I mean, for fuck's sake, like, it's class and spitting that out.
Yeah.
But that's, I mean, it's. But there's not. McCann was telling me about one. Can't mind his name now. I've only seen clips of it. It was quite good.
I have a feeling I know what you're chatting about.
He's a white guy.
So, is it Tim somebody?
Yes.
Was it on Netflix? Tim Meadows or no? Tim somebody. He was on SNL for a bit. Oh fuck! I can't remember his name, but I have a feeling I know who you're on about. Yeah. But it's hard to get, like, even if you talk about SNL now, about the best sketches of all time, it's always the ones from the Belushi days and a couple of Will Ferrell's, like, you know, the cowbell sketch, and then my favorite one that's Belushi's in, you might remember, it's called the Olympia Cafe, and it's the one where they just say cheeseburger like 1,000 times. Have you ever seen that one?
No.
I'll link it to you after this here, but basically it's like a Greek cafe. Bill Murray's in it, Aykroyd's in it, and every time someone says, can I get 4 cheeseburgers, Belushi has to shout to the other 2 lads, but he always just goes, cheeseburger, 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 cheeseburger. And again, it sounds shite. It's lethal. Do you know what I mean? It sounds
like, usually it's like the Will Ferrell cowbell. If I was to describe it to you, you go, what a...
Yeah.
But there's some good ones. But I think what happened to SNL was YouTube. It was the viral videos of its day.
Yeah.
And then YouTube came along, and then people were like, there's better on here.
That's true. Yeah, I mean, now the competition's fierce. You kind of... I think now, like, I watch the odd bit of SNL, depending on who's hosting it. And I feel like if the host is really fucking good, it kind of highlights that nobody else in the show's that great. Like, when Eddie Murphy came back, you just seen how shite everybody else was. And he was coming in probably just for the money, really. I mean, like, if he wanted to come back, he would have came back sooner to host. So, you know, he doesn't really give a fuck. Got a decent payout. And
Eddie
comes
Murphy
in and murdered the whole show. And the rest of them just looked amateur as fuck. Like,
he earned my respect from his very first special where he wore all leather.
Yeah. Is that something we're going to see Mark McCartney do in the future?
No, this is it. Like, I wore denim jacket and then a skilling way in October, and the sweat was blinding me in the eyes and starting to fucking scratch and get me off. He wore a complete leather. I think they called it the leather special, wasn't it?
I think that's kind of what's referred to. And then didn't Amy Schumer do a special where she wore all leather? And you're just like, well, I can see where you shite, so don't wear that again. To be honest, man, I love Eddie Murphy more than most people, dare I say it. Like, when he came back to SNL, I was like, good lad, and he just made everybody look so amateur.
It's him, Eddie Murphy, and Martin Lawrence were apparently the 2 best comedians of all time, and they quit stand-up. What's that about?
Yeah, like, they both quit at the peak of their powers. Like, after Raw, Eddie Murphy was just like, nah, mate. Now, I can understand that, and I know this plays a factor in him coming back to do stand-up, but he's just so famous. He can't go to the Comedy Store and try out material because he would need bodyguards. Like, he's like Tom Cruise level famous. Like, he can't go to somewhere in fucking Arkansas and do 10 minutes, you know what I mean? Because people will just be like, Eddie Murphy's here, and then before you know it, there's thousands of people outside looking to get a photo with him. Like, and plus Eddie Murphy's, even if he goes and does shite on stage, is everybody just going to laugh because it's Eddie Murphy? And you're like, I'm just in the room with Eddie Murphy. Do you know what I mean? So, but he just
probably
stopped after Raw.
He is that famous that he can't. Like, he probably can't even find funny in normal life anymore. Like, that man's life's fucking, like, he must have servants and...
Oh, for sure.
He's not living a normal...
Yeah, I don't think he does. I don't think he does staycations in Ross and Isla, anyway. That's what I can say that for sure.
No.
He's a Kelly Beggs man, I think.
There's somebody to do that for them.
Yeah.
But no, I don't know. Like, I think it was Chris Rock I seen one time. Martin Lawrence opened for him, or it was some comp show, and he was in the green room, and you hear the people, like, their feet was banging the ground with laughter.
Yeah.
And he went on after Martin Lawrence, and he never died as hard in his life because Martin Lawrence just murdered.
Yeah.
So that no matter who came on, if the Pope himself came on to do 5 minutes,
yeah,
it wasn't. They weren't going to be entertained. And he says that Martin Lawrence done so well that he died. He says
yeah,
the best comedian he's ever seen, and he fucking quit.
yeah. Do you know who else gets a lot of real love? I heard this on Joe Rogan from back in that era in terms of stand-up ability was Damon Wayans. You know, he's
That's right. The
yeah,
Wayans brothers.
yeah. Apparently, like they all do a bit of stand-up, but but he apparently he was unbelievable. Like they were like he was one of the best as well. And then I don't know if it's because he was doing films. He was like, I'm better than stand-up now, but he was unbelievable. There's a couple of specials on YouTube, and then he just stopped as well. It's very unusual.
Because stand-up's fucking hard, like.
Yeah.
You know, there is, like, it's like, videos are great because you can do them 10 times over. If you don't like that take, you can do the next one. Where stand-up, you're just completely exposed.
Yeah, the vulnerability of stand-up is mad.
Everything. But it's I suppose that's probably why, I suppose they're making millions making videos to films, so.
Yeah, true. What would you say then?
It.
What's your stand-up highlight then so far in terms of, even if it's just like your personal favorite gig that you've been on, or what do you feel?
Fuck, that's a good question.
Thanks. I researched.
I think probably my first lab.
You've cut out there massively, by the way.
Just it was a class. Oh, can you hear me?
Can you just like do a retake there because you froze there quite badly?
Can you hear me now? I think best gig probably Lavery's.
Yeah, the first time.
The very first. Because I remember I was shitting, just fucking up them back stairs, just sitting going, Jesus, why am I here?
Yeah.
Well, just question your whole life. You're like,
yeah.
Why did I quit that business? Hey, fuck me, think.
Yeah.
And then you go on in, and it's just like, it's crazy. Like,
yeah,
it's hard to explain. I've had people ask me, "What's it like?" And I'm like, I can't explain it to you. It's hard to explain to people that hasn't done stand-up what it's like doing it.
Yeah, absolutely. And the annoying thing about it is that like most people who don't do it and then hear that you do it, whether you're at a party or something, they all assume they can do it, and that annoys me a wee bit. They're like, sure, I can make my mates laugh, and you're like, doesn't matter, doesn't fucking matter at all. You have to be like
different. Yeah.
Funny on stage. You need to be able to handle nerves, because the biggest myth about stand-up is that like, the longer you do it, you get used to it. For me, I think it's the biggest load of shite. You deal with it better as you have more experience. You can kind of push it down for a bit. But the people that go like, I don't get nervous, well, you're going to eat all the dick in the room, because it's the biggest myth. They're like, oh, the nerves go. No, they don't. You'll always have it, and that's maybe why stand-up's so hard, because you're always nervous.
And as cliche as it is, the nerves make it.
100%.
Whenever you get off stage and it's hopefully done well or whatever, and you've enjoyed it, well then you can, you have the butterflies, and then they just kind of go out through your hole.
Yeah.
As soon as you get off the fucking stage. But I've Fred are hilarious, but if you put them on a stage, it'd be shit. I know even they say no, they wouldn't be fit. There's a difference in it, like.
Oh, 100%. 100%. I feel I'd say in all my social circles, even in work, I'm probably the least funny person in conversation. So then you always get like the people that are just like, how the fuck's he a comedian? No, because plus at the end of the day too, you're like, I don't give a fuck about being funny in person when I'm not getting paid anymore. To be honest, you're like, well, I can do it on stage in front of lots of people and get a few quid. So making you laugh at the water cooler, dimping it is not really in
just
my list of priorities.
Box afterwards, give me a pound and make you laugh.
A choker box.
No, I'm the same. Like I don't get me wrong, I enjoy the day to day. I'm normal. I think that's the worst thing of videos. They expect the person is in the video.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They think that whenever I have the fucking red hat on, that's who I am. Like, but it's fucking. That's the weird thing. That was the thing. I remember when I first started hanging out, like, and going to libraries, like, people call him Colin Barry.
Oh, terrifying.
It's just like, do these people think he's Barry the Blended Henderson, or does he know? Do they know it's a character? Like, and
Yeah.
and it's the same with me. I think they kind of expect people come up to me now and say the most atrocious things because they think that, you know, oh, this boy says fucking whatever he wants. We must be cool with
Yeah.
fucking talking about abortions and whatever. And no, it's fucking, even my dentist. Like, I remember I've been my dentist for years, and I was in there a while ago, and usually, like, there was very little wet in the day and blah blah. Geez, the last time I was over, he was talking pure filth and dirt, and
Yeah.
just like with his fingers down my throat. I was like, this is fucking weird.
Yeah. I suppose the thing is about your videos is that, you know, there's a lot of people we know that have done videos that have got a serious amount of hits. But I think for you, what stands out to me is that you're, even though like all the other boys have like characters and there's catchphrases and stuff, the amount of like catchphrases that get chucked at you, and like you must have like 15 different things that people shout. Maybe that's the nature of your videos because they're so quick, but you have more quotable. You have so many quotable things. And I remember you telling me that some of the stuff that gets shouted at you or people say to you is the stuff that you maybe ad-libbed, or you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like, what was the one you told me? You can tell me if this is wrong. Was it one of the videos and you said something along the lines of, she's got a hole on her like a Skoda boot? Is that one of your videos?
Skoda boot, yeah.
And I remember you going,
yeah,
and you were like, I think I ad-libbed that, or it was a line that you'd written that you didn't anticipate getting, you know, well, not the response it got, but it's mad how that works, isn't it?
Yeah, no, definitely, man. Is it? I would say like stuff that I would think is good, will usually not do well at all. But the stuff that is very off the cuff and very last minute is weirdly the stuff that people hold on. Skoda boot was the first. Was the first, and Darlene Foster lays her eggs over there. Is another one that.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, and it's weird how it all works. That in terms of say the Skoda boot line, it's most likely for me. It's funny because it's a Skoda, and that's a very niche make to go for. But if you had said like Nissan boot, it probably would have done all right. But there's something about the rhythm of it. There's something like Skoda boot, maybe because it sounds like one word. But like if you had said Nissan, Audi, like any other make of car, I don't think would have done as well.
I think I don't know. I don't want to. I can't say here and go. It was a very well thought out thing that I said. It was literally the first thing that came to my head. But I just say I'm very bad at. So even the Bundoran, I was like, I don't think this is any good. I was like, I don't want to fucking put this out at all. Only somebody said, no, fucking. I think I might have sent it to Colin maybe, and he was like, no, it's great. So then we just stuck it up like, but yeah, the wee sayings and catchphrases are, people seem to latch on to them the best. Like,
yeah, you definitely have like definitely more variety than, because no, Shane must get it like maybe 2 or 3. Gaddis has about 2 or 3. You must have at least 13. You know what I mean? Just from like Insta stories and all, and people seem to know your like all your videos like word for word. That resonates with people for some reason, like word for word. Some shit I've seen.
Yeah, it's weird. Like, I was at a wedding last year, and this guy, I've never seen a guy. He was like shaking, meeting.
Yeah.
He was literally, he couldn't believe I was there. He couldn't. I suppose, you know, as at a wedding, he's like, "Why the fuck?" And he just could literally. He nearly. I forgot all about it. He could word for word was pretty much come through the entire video.
Yeah.
It's strange. Like, it is fucking strange at that time. Like, you're so used to just being paint in the wall, but now you're walking across Spar car park and people are shouting fucking Skoda boot at you.
It's such a weird existence, like doing comedy and being involved in it. Do you know what I mean? Like, even particularly now where like comedy audiences here just seem to love everybody. Like, you know, the fact that Geddes and Paddy Raff can both do the arena, Shane can do the waterfront, Mickey can do the Ulster Hall, McCann can do the Ulster Hall, all of us boys can do solo shows, and you get people coming to these shows that have seen you 8 times that year, and probably hear all the same stuff. And I've actually said to people, I was like, after my Limelight show, I was like, I'm so sorry that you've probably heard the vast majority of that show. And they were like, no, we like seeing how it gets from like the early stages to getting in the show. And you're like, that's actually mad. Actually mad, like, to me.
It is, but the thing too is like, they get behind you so much. It's like we've gigged with, like, up until Colin done the SSE show, like I'd done shows with Colin the whole maybe year and a half before it. And so I had seen the material that he was growing that whole time to do at the arena. And so whenever I went to the arena show, I had seen every bit. It was amazing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It just had come to this like culmination, and and then with the spectacle of the whole show and all. I think it used to be people would rather see outsiders or people coming from way down south or from England or whatever up here. Up here's weird, I think, like as circuit ways compared to even down south. Up here, like the fan base and the people that's willing to come out is unreal. Like I've done gigs in clubs down even in Dublin, and likes of dailies in Oma, which would be minuscule size compared to Dublin, absolutely 10 times the show. Like
100%, yeah.
You know, with the people and just the fucking the acts and everything, like.
Yeah.
Look, it really is. As I'm saying, like you boys laid the groundwork for us, and then there's like the Steve Thompson and McKegney and Sheehan, and so it's like it's only now things fucking was really blowing up last year.
Yeah,
and then the end of the world happened.
It is mad. Like even you were saying about dailies there. My third gig ever was dailies, and there was no backdrop. I don't know if it's been renovated or anything, but the actual wall is like a black and white striped fucking like optical illusion. Like there's no backdrop, and then they had a mic, but there was no stand. There was like 13 people, and this is when like Terry Keys was hosting it, and then to be doing it, I think I did like 2 or 3 gigs before it closed, before it came back, and it was like just rammed to people, and it was like one of those gigs, and it's very rare to find this where you're doing a gig and say the gig's supposed to start at 8:30 and people are there at 8 o'clock and they're kind of looking at the MC to be like, just start it now, the fuck, like, which is a very rare thing. Dailies was just one of those like freaky all like Twilight Zone gigs where it was always good lineups, so you always had good crack in the green room anyway. And then you go out, and unless you were like blatantly racist or spin kicking a baby's head, you'd have done well. Like it was just one of the freakiest gig ever. Like
even if you're like, I've been to more gigs in Oma than I have actually gigged.
Mm-hmm.
And even like nights, if you see an act that's maybe just not killing the way they used to do or whatever, they're still 100% behind you. If they like you, which is typical Tyrone fashion, if they like you, you get away with it, you know. But almost lastly.
I think it's so weird, you know, because people have asked me, you know, comedians here down south basically ask about our scene, and there's sometimes the southern comedians are a bit patronizing about it, which I don't really like. But what I would say in our favor is that for the amount of us that are doing paid work and longer sets, there's variety. Now, on paper, technically, me, you, Keezy, McCann should all basically be the same act. We're in and around the Tyrone area. We should all be doing the same stuff. And even though probably there's been times where I've talked about Madá being rare, you've probably done that, McCann's done it, Keezy's done it. But again, it's like if we were all in a row at say one of those big charity gigs, it feels like 4 different people, but it shouldn't. We're all from the same place, same sort of upbringing. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Same generation. Maybe not Keezy because Keezy's 65, but do you know what I mean? There's variety. You know what I mean?
But it's even still like I live 12 miles from Oma.
Yeah.
And I would say that Aaron McKeon, I've never seen a creature like him before.
Yeah.
He like his upbringing, even though we're so close together, his way of going would be completely different the way that I was brought up, I think.
Mm-hmm.
I think even once like they often say once you get to the Ballygully roundabout, it's a different world.
sure.
Everything's just fucking, for such a small place.
Yeah.
Like I've been doing gigs like up in Newcastle and these like like Ballymena and like that, and I always find that way funny because like even like I remember there was nights that we done and the crowd just wasn't having it maybe, or and then I get on stage and with my accent or the way I talked, it'll kind of stop them for a minute.
It was like the Angelus
what
there.
What the fuck is this? It is, and I've often seen that where as soon as I get on, I think it was Portrush. The last gig was Portrush. I think that happened where the audience just had. I think Shane was headlining. I think I was on before Shane, and so there was 3 or 4 acts before us, and they were getting restless, and they were starting to talk. They were starting to just talk over the acts.
Yeah.
And of course, I come out and go, "Well, how you doing? Oh, what the fuck?" Blah blah. And then it just kind of turned around. But it's just like as you say, like even from here to Ballymena is never could be identical, but it's just a totally different world everywhere. I think.
Yeah, I always feel like anytime I get the 273 to Strabane or to Belfast, when you get to Ballygolly and you get to that roundabout, it's like like in a horror film where they travel to the cabin, they get to a certain point and the car cuts out and there's no light and their phones don't work anymore. That's Ballygolly to me, where I'm like, this is purgatory. This is the purgatory of Northern Ireland for sure.
Just get a long-winded conversation.
Oh, I like.
You from? What are you doing down here?
It feels like no matter where you go, the music will stop. Even if you dandered about Ballygolly, went into a hardware shop, the music would stop on the radio and they would just stare you out and be like, he's got matching shoes. I can't.
I think a lot of people don't realise that Ballygolly is an actual town. I think they just think it's the roundabout.
Yeah, there's like the roundabout and then just signs for everywhere else, basically.
People live here.
Yeah, you do wonder how. That's the biggest thing. Like,
I remember there's a big extension going on.
Where
in Ballygolly?
What's an extension in Ballygolly? Just a bigger gate.
They're putting on 2 houses. That's it.
So someone's moving in and they own a Jeep, and that's why they've had to extend the whole thing.
Poor Ballygolly.
Now, in terms of these extra podcasts I don't really do any prep because the vast majority of people have met before, and I usually think of 1 or 2 things to bring up for each person. Whether it happens, whether it doesn't happen, is another thing. But I know you've talked about this a million times, but we have to talk about the Strabane incident with Mickey Bartlett, because there's still so, like, my younger sister was at it. She was like, she was like, do you know if there's tickets? You always get people that message you about other comedians' gigs as if you just because you know them, you seem to know how many tickets are left for their theatre show. So my sister messaged me going, is there any tickets left for Mickey Bartlett? And I was like, why don't you message the actual theatre that he's in? You know what I mean? They might have a notion. So I was like, but if there's tickets, shut down, because I knew you were on and Ronan was on. I was like, sure, you know what I mean? There's 3 comedians on, it should be good crack. And I was out that night because I think, it was that very early March, I want to say. I was out for my birthday, and my birthday's the 3rd of March. So I'm trying to think.
That was Mickey's tour, and we were supposed to do about 3 or 4 more dates, and then it was all cancelled then because of the pandemic. I think that was the last show we done.
Yeah, because I'm trying to think.
What a way to go out.
I'm trying to think. I want to say it was a Saturday you did it, because the Friday I was gigging in Ballymena with Shane and Aaron, and we went to the Galagorm beforehand, like 3 fucking Real Housewives.
Yeah, so we were in Newcastle that Friday night, and we seen using Instagram on a fucking jacuzzi, and we were like, we're out the back of a shitty pub here.
Yeah.
Drinking their dirty glasses, and these bastards are sitting in a hot tub fondling each other.
So for anybody that doesn't know what happened at the Alley Theatre, lay it out very quickly and then we'll chat about it.
To this day, I don't even really know
exactly. There's so much. Happened. The coronavirus situation is clearer than that whole Strabane incident.
Whatever's about, every time I lay foot in Strabane, there seems to be a handling. But it's It was like, so it was Mickey's tour, and I was opening, and then he had asked Ronan, because he was from Strabane, to do a quick set as well.
Mm-hmm.
And I used to do a bit about this guy who was he was a bad looking cunt, or he was a rough looking boy, and the way I used to describe him was he looked like someone who would punch someone with autism.
Right.
It's not very smart, it's not very funny,
Yeah.
but that's just the best way that I could describe this.
Yeah.
Boy, right?
There is people that look like that for sure.
Yeah, you just know he's just a downright cunt. Like, that's the kind of shit he'd be up to.
Down syndrome.
And it's funny looking, this woman, but as you know, when you're on stage, you can see nothing, especially in big theaters. All you just see outlines because the spotlight's on you. But I do mind seeing somebody get up and go out. But you know, there could be the toilet or whatever.
Yeah.
But that was all right then. I did my set, done all right. Boyle done his, and then there was a break, and then a 10-minute break, and then Mickey was to go back on. And when Mickey was about to go on, this doll from the theatre had pulled me to one side, and she's like, I don't know if it's you or not, but some woman's after coming out there going absolutely mental that somebody made a joke about autistic children. I was like, I knew then that I was the only one that even mentioned the word autism. It had to be me. So I was like, all right, thanks very much. And Mickey's gig went on. And I think I left halfway through it. I think I went home thinking that there'd be no, out of it then. But fuck me. It just, you went home then and got on, as you all do, get on to Facebook and start fucking going mental.
Yeah.
And then everybody, again, feels how dangerous Facebook is. Like, she read her account of it, that I had made this awful joke about children with autism and all this here stuff.
Yeah.
And then, of course, there was about 100 comments deep going, such a fucking disgrace and all. And then somebody put up Mickey's poster going, is that the cunt? He went, yeah. So everybody thought it was Mickey. Then his Instagram and Facebook started going mental. People calling him a cunt and the sick bastard and taking the piss out of autistic children and all. And he was like, what's going on here? He had no clue. And so that was all right anyway. I think it kind of settled down that night. And then the next morning, then I was going to message her myself and put her straight and go, not only I don't even know who said it. It was me, not Mickey. Yeah. But I kind of gave her the benefit of the doubt and thought maybe she was pish drunk or whatever. But fuck, the Sunday morning she started again on Mickey's page.
That's the Sabbath day too.
It just went, man. I was reading the comments and I was like, fuck me, what is the world coming to? A pandemic would do us all the world of good. And thankfully it came. But paragraph explaining it all, and it was just like, you know, when I get out of Western and the tumbleweed goes across the street. As soon as I hit enter, everybody just fucking cleared out.
Yeah.
And nobody never replied. All friends was like, oh fuck, she was clearly talking shit. But it just went mad. Like, I'm not even like, it just, everybody was messaging me because they knew I was in Strabane that night going, what happened in Strabane? But there's still a lot of people that think something bad happened that night when it didn't, because one fucking dog couldn't hold her drink. I thought something fucking, oh my god, man, such a fucking melee.
That's why, like, it kind of puts me off doing any gigs in Strabane for the foreseeable. And then I wonder around that time, you know, with Chinese whispers and stuff, which is prevalent in every part of Northern Ireland anyway. I'm wondering with Chinese whispers, what the story is now. It's something along the lines of Mickey Bartlett drop kicked an autistic child to close the show or something. It's just
it really did get that stupid. Like, but again, like, the gig itself was brilliant. The crowd was amazing. It was just this one doll.
Yeah.
That you know, like, she came and she said that she had an autistic child, which she obviously feel for, but you know, she made it out like I made it out that I was like purposely taking the piss out of him. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. She would like everything just. I think she was the OG Karen. She was the first Karen I'd met.
Yeah.
You know, these fucking dolls, like, but oh my god, it's just like, again, the the gig itself was great, like, and everyone else was just this one person that fucking ruined it.
Yeah, I mean
Caused the scene in the hand, like.
It's all it takes.
But I was asked to go back to do a gig in Stavan in a couple of weeks' time, and I haven't replied yet. There I go. There's something fucking happened.
Yeah, I'm sort of. I don't know, like if I'll do a gig in Strabane anytime soon, really. But again, I think in terms of any gig, it just takes one person and a Facebook account to really escalate something out of nothing. Do you know what I mean? But the fact that they weren't sure who, like the woman said, "Oh, someone said that joke," and I'm like, well, if it was really that offensive, you would see it in your mind's eye, the exact her that was doing it. If you were really that offended, you would know exactly who did it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Like she was pissed out of her head, man. She couldn't even she like I was the very first act on, so like you know it was told, and the Mickey's like your first headlight or your opening act or whatever. She was just pissed drunk, and then she heard a trigger word, and her knickers disintegrated, and she just fucking lost the.
Yeah,
it's what the hateful thing of it is like. For us doing stand-up, you're like, you've nothing. I kind of understand why they like solve the theaters anymore, because they just everyone can like fucking record you, and everyone can kind of take things wrong out of context, and there's still ones that say thought that because she put that up on Facebook and probably didn't see the comment that I said to clear everything up, thought some cunt was the ban a couple of months ago when he said some awful thing.
Yeah, it's definitely like the principle that people can record everything you're doing. Like, did you see was it last week or something, maybe 2 days ago? Russell Howard was doing like a work in progress show, was billed as a work in progress, and it was a $5, and some woman just filmed the whole fucking thing. And I suppose like because everybody talks about you obviously the odd Facebook meme where it's like tag a cunt who always films like music gigs the whole way through. So you go see fucking Iron Maiden, you film the whole thing. They never say like tag someone who films the whole comedy gig. And I don't understand why some people think it's all right to film the comedian, but I just don't understand.
I mean, being I think it was an Antrim, and I mean just looking around. There's a wee pub gig like, so you could see everybody's fucking face, you could see everything like. And countless tables like the pink glass like that, and just had set their phone like that there and recorded the whole show.
Fucking hell!
The entirety of the show now, and I was like, "What?" That was the first time I seen when I got there, and there were fucking, maybe 20 of them doing it. Like,
yeah,
I was like, "What are you doing with that?"
Yeah,
it's no good deal. Like.
It's a bit sad, isn't it? It's like that you can't just enjoy.
People taking pictures and stuff. I don't care at all. Like, but I don't know what you do with me talking shit for 20 minutes. You get nothing for it. It's not worth
it. Unless it's
I'm not worth the memory. I'm not worth the memory I'm taking up on your phone.
Yeah, like I just wonder. It's just like, it's just sad, isn't it? And I mean, like, I don't understand what you're. Kind of, particularly at a comedy gig where the whole point is to kind of live in the moment and just appreciate what the dude's saying. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I know, man. It's fucking weird.
I don't know how I couldn't bother. You couldn't even bother do it. You couldn't even bother setting up your phone to do it. You just want to fucking enjoy it in the moment, like. But
yeah, because I've seen people.
I don't know.
I understand if you're going to do it, at least try it. Like putting it in a pint glass isn't subtle. Like if you're going to fucking pirate the gig, but I've seen people like film Geddes or Mickey or something like in Lavery's or even in theaters or whatever. Flash is fucking on. So like you're standing there with a fucking headlamp essentially, just staring. Do you know what I mean?
And phones are the worst too because there's a light off them.
Yeah,
you'd be more inconspicuous if you had a fucking GoPro on your head.
Yeah,
and film it like. I mean, some people would say, "Don't get me started on people."
You love being alive, but you don't like people. I think you definitely want to be you just want to be like I Am Legend or something. You just you and a wee doggy and a decent bit of beef, and you'll be all right.
Yeah, well, I'm an only child, you see, so I could kind of entertain myself.
So, like, what do you think then of like? It's so weird because you obviously have online content in terms of your videos, but you're not really a social media guy at the same time. It doesn't come across to me that you're heavy on it.
No, not at all. I don't know. It's just videos. My mother always said she never begrudged buying me a tape, a VHS tape. That's how old I am. Growing up, because I would literally watch it till the tape started fraying and burning. Like, I just always loved films and always loved fucking making films. But so it's really like, so as who was saying to me, is like, social media is awful, but we owe everything to it for our careers.
For sure.
Literally, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It is. I'm kind of I am a weird guy. Like, I'm a split. There's a part of me, that loves doing stand-up and doing videos, but there's a part of me too that hates putting myself out there. You know what I mean? The same most comedians have an urge to go out on stage and get gratification from people.
Yeah.
I'm not like that at all.
Yeah.
I'm really quite the opposite.
I don't get that from a lot of us guys, the gratification thing. I think that most of the time, dare I say it now, I mean, we love doing shows for people, but some of the time you're like, I'm more excited about this gig because of the backstage banter more so than, like, I mean, you still love doing the gig, but the fact that, well, after I come off stage, it's me, you, McKegney, and Mickey, and Gaddis, and Shane, and Dave chatting shite in a room. Do you know what I mean? So you almost do the stand-up so you can have the green room vibe. Just completely went there.
Can you hear me now?
If you can do a wee restart, that would be great. Is your internet not good where you are now? Are you in the sticks, I suppose?
Oh man, I'm in the sticks here. Hey, the old boys going out with an aerial and the lawns past there.
Trying to watch some others do have them or something.
You know, that stigma that comedians, there's a wanting them to impress people or something, or need that laugh to fucking so they'll not kill themselves at night or something. You know, that kind of stigma.
Yeah.
Like, no, I think we just do it for the crack. That's really what it's for. Like, because life's so fucking mundane, so we do this just for something completely different to do, I suppose.
Yeah, I mean, some of the stuff that's said in the green rooms of various places that we all play, like if it was a podcast, it would be number one in the world. No, when you've all us in the same room, there's some magical slagging that happens. Like, I mean, you short out there again, bro.
Like, you're right. Like, but sometimes the backstage crap's better than what's actually on stage.
Yeah. So I'll ask you one more thing. Like, yeah, I think I'll ask you one more thing and then I'll let you shoot on. Would you what do you reckon is would you say, I know you enjoyed the Strabane gig, but what do you reckon is the worst gig that you've had thus far, or what was the biggest learning curve, do you feel, in terms of stand-up?
Nearly every one of them was a learning curve, but I think the worst one was I'd went in and there was nobody. It hadn't really opened yet. And
where was this? Sorry, you cut out there at the start. Where was it? Sorry,
everything up. The Pav again.
Right, the Pav, as always.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Yeah, you're shorting out a wee bit, but I've got so far. You did the Pav.
did the Pav, but it was Luke McGibbon was only setting everything up, and so I gave him a hand moving tables and stuff. Yeah. As soon as I moved the table, fuck, something's not right here in my stomach. I could feel something. So I came to my set and I got up and I wasn't 30 seconds in. I was like, I'm going to vomit on this guy in the front row.
Right.
And then there was an American guy and I thought, I'm going to vomit on this yank. And I just remember going, here, I have to go here. And I got off stage, went to the toilet, and I vomited I had some before I went down, so I thought the fish had food poisoned me or something. Turns out it was an ulcer in my stomach. I kind of half busted an ulcer in my stomach.
Jesus.
And I remember I didn't know at the time, and I remember staying for the gig, and I was sweating, and things was blurry, and I was that thick. I kind of thought to myself, I'm not leaving here. Do I do my set?
Yeah.
And I went up to Luke and was like, he was like, yeah, if you want. So he put me on literally for about I made about another 3 minutes, and I was like, I have to go here. And I ended up, I just got off again, and I went straight to the car, and drove myself to the hospital. They thought I was on drugs. They thought I was sweating, man, and my fucking pupils must have been hanging out of me. They thought I was out of it and drugs, and they put me in and they gave me painkillers, and I wasn't home here to have for hours in the fucking hospital.
Jesus Christ,
and
man.
To date, that's the worst gig I've ever had. Was that?
Yeah, fuck. I mean, like, most people's bad gig stories are like something to do with the crowd, not because they have a serious ailment. You know what I mean? Do you know what I mean? I've never heard anybody say, "Oh, I had a bad gig in the PAV. Why? I had a fractured skull."
I took the brain hemorrhage and that punchline.
Yeah,
I don't. People never believe me, but I don't mind bad gigs. I don't mind, because usually it's either, if the crowd's not getting it, well, then that's out of your control.
True.
And if you're shite, well, then that's your fault. There's nobody else to blame bar yourself.
Yeah.
So
I hate those gigs where you're like, it was like most of the time it is usually the crowd or it's a bad setup. I can live with that when it's 100% me, where you're like when you make that mistake of jumping into the new stuff too early in the set when you haven't got them on side yet, you know, pretty much opening with your new material because you're excited about it, but it's not ready.
You boys are great like that there. Like, I have no, like as you just said there, you'd think your stuff out and you go, well, there's a new bit there. I better not, I need to put that. I have no, like, I've done new stuff right from the bat when I get on stage sometimes, which it's stupid right enough, but I don't know how, I don't really think of it that way. I just go, I need to say this. Whatever order comes out, it's just going to have to come out.
Yeah.
And usually, because I have such a bad fucking memory for things, I have to do it early on or forget to do it.
Yeah. It's so weird that, like, you're one of those acts that I wouldn't say that you do one-liners, but your set's quite sort of, it's very punchy. And anybody else I know who does that sort of style or does one-liners or anything like that there has the worst memory in the world. Like Sean Haggerty is like, oh, I have the worst memory. And I'm like, then why do you do that type of stand-up where you're like, you've got 300 jokes to do in 20 minutes, whatever the fuck it is, and you're like, pick something that suits you.
That's why I pulled out the keyboard. Might do that myself. I have such a bad memory. I have no fear of dying. But see, if I got to the stage where I forget what I'm going to say or talk about, I fucking hate that.
That's the worst when you blank.
There with a mic and going, I blanking. I'd be like, Jesus Christ, where are we going now?
Yeah.
But that there be my fucking worst nightmare. That.
Yeah. Let's say, like, I expected your bad gig story to be, as I say, something to do with a crowd or a bad heckle, but I just can't get over the fact that you were, you know,
vomiting and diarrhea. It was my worst heckles.
Yeah. Your body's heckling you.
Yeah.
You're being physically heckled.
Shit.
Yeah. That's just like if you walked on stage and then just your jaw broke randomly.
It's a great way to go off. Just get there going down the side of your leg. Fuck. This weird guy got up and just shit himself on stage and walked off.
You know what I mean? And then I guarantee you, like, if you shot yourself that night, and then it would just be all over Facebook. Did you hear Mickey Bartlett shot himself in the path?
That's the best thing. I'm going to say it's Mickey.
No matter what you do now, people think it's going to be Mick anyway. So when you bury your parents alive, they'll be like, Mickey Bartlett was very rude to McCartney's parents.
Yeah, I'm going to have to write something racist to say someday if Mickey gets too ahead of himself.
Yeah. Well, man, I'm going to love you and leave you there. Thank you very much for coming on the old podcast. Really appreciate it. Very, very nice of you. Thanks,
man. And apologies for my...
by the time I edit this down, it'll be about 3 minutes, but sure. I'm joking. But yeah, so hopefully you stay safe. We'll do the wee fake goodbye here, and then I'll stay on the Zoom and we'll chat for another few minutes, sure.
No bother.
Cool. So, fake goodbye. Thanks for coming on
Great
again, man.
seeing
Appreciate
you.
it. Take her easy. One love.
No bother, man. Chat to you again.